Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Track Help on this Sunday after the MENA Karting Championship and before the Mexican Grand Prix. It's quite the week of racing for myself, which we're going to be starting things off with. We'll then go over to Naveed, who's got some footage, I believe, somewhere he posted over here, and straight into Eric, who's got some outdoor karting and some lap times he wants to compare of his own and his friend. We'll hopefully round off with William, who's got some indoor footage, is preparing for a competition coming up. And then we'll round it off with Jeremy, hopefully once we get time. I know Jeremy has actually been trying to submit footage since the last time. So we got an hour to get through all of this. Welcome back, Jeremy. Hope you can hear us. We were just talking about you. I hope we get the chance to go through your footage today. Now, the MENA Karting Championship is the biggest race of the year in the Middle East. Here's the timetable. You'll see it runs across Tuesday to Saturday. Tuesday is simply a registration day. It's where everyone gathers. We're lucky for the past 3 years, the host country has been Qatar. So that's my home track at Lusail. Lusail Karting Track, you'll know from the KTips videos. So as the home country, there's a lot of pressure on us to perform. And obviously, when you race at home, compared to races where you go abroad, you're more comfortable. You got your own pre-race routine. You know where to set up your own equipment, keep your helmets. You know the facility, right? There's all these things which actually make a difference. So on Tuesday, when everyone else is coming from all the different Middle East and North Africa countries, they're sort of getting grips to how the track layout is. And of course, how everything runs. This is the third consecutive year, as I said, it ran at Lusail. So people who came in previous years have some understanding. Wednesday is when we hit the track, and you'll see it's back-to-back practice sessions from basically 10 o'clock in the morning all the way till the evening. If I didn't mention already, this is mainly a Rotax competition. So they supply the engines for Micro Mini, Junior, Senior, and DD2. And then they throw in a rental car category, which is what I was selected by my federation to do. We have a 2-hour endurance race on the Friday, and then we've got a solo sprint race on the Saturday. Thursday was really nice because we all completed our practice sessions and then basically met up in the F1 pit lane, which is obviously on the other side of the circuit. So this is how Lusail is. You're all familiar with the F1 track, which they're going to visit this time next month. Karting track is here, where we did the Middle East car competition. And then a stone's throw away is the wonderful paddock. And if we can get some photos up here on Google of the paddock, that would be nice. This is one of the updated designs. Anything inside would be great. Possibly not. Well, what I'm trying to point out is they held a nice dinner for all the drivers and teams in the pit lane. So basically, where Lewis Hamilton's pit garage is, or where Max Verstappen's pit box or hospitality suite is, we were literally outside there. It's nice to imagine it like that. Weather in the Middle East is beautiful this time of the year. So it was a perfect idea by the organizers. Friday is where we hit the track. Now for the Rotax categories, this is where the basically practice heats were for them. So yes, they scored points, and I believe the average points that the Rotax guys got across their heats on Friday then determine the starting grid for the pre-final, which is on the next day. What you're seeing in the background is the start of the qualifying for our 2-hour endurance. This year, I was very, very hopeful that I could do a good result because I had an amazing teammate. Karim Rizqallah, he's a young up-and-coming driver who's doing so well for his age. He's already got 3-4 years of solid experience. You'll see me over here leading the pack in qualifying, which is basically where I'd like to be. We found that the bump drafting tactic really was effective if there were, 2 good drivers with decent karts. Generally, people didn't want to work together in qualifying. So I prefer to be out there in front and set a nice lap time. The main thing is, which they introduced on the morning of this Friday in the briefing, was the kart rotation system. Now, this wasn't there last year. Basically, in qualifying, you're going to get a random kart. In the start of the race, you're going to get a random kart. And then every time you pit stop, which is going to be twice minimum, you're going to change your kart. So this was the correct thing to do because I'll be honest, there was a huge spread in lap times of the karts. We had rockets, which were 103s, and then you'd have average karts, which were mid 104s, and then you'd have the tractors, which were 105, 106. It's not great. It's rental karting at the end of the day. I think the organizers did the best that they could at the end of it to take out the bad karts and keep the good ones. So we finished qualifying, and I believe we started in position 5 or 4. Let's just go ahead to the race start to clarify that. You'll see Morocco got pole position, Qatar 2 got second, Qatar 1 got first. No, we got 7th. That's right. Yeah. So actually, we were so close. If you look at Morocco 1, okay, they got the rocket, they got 103.4. All the way from 2nd to 7th, there were 2/10. So there was really not much in it. Now, the race start. We all got new karts. You'll see the man over here in the green helmet, the tall driver. That's my teammate, Karim Rizqallah. I nominated him to do the race start. Note and bear in mind that we are number 17 or Team Qatar 4, and this live timing will constantly update. I believe they redid the start because you can see this huge gap in the single file rolling start, right? The top 8 or 9 are bumper to bumper, but then from 10th, they've just, there's a mess there. So extra formation lap, everyone slows down at the end. That's Mahdi Khadiri, one of the top Moroccan drivers, backing everyone off. And then we'll find out who's got the good karts and not. And you'll find out pretty quickly who had the good karts and who didn't. So the opening lap is always quite chaotic. We really hoped Qatar 2 and Qatar 1 could put some pressure on the Moroccan. But watch, kart number 4, or Qatar 2, he got the tractor. And I'm afraid he got a kart which 21 across the weekend was just horrible. Absolutely horrible. It just did not turn right. I drove it in one of the stints, I can tell you from experience. So he got mugged off the line. I'm really, really pleased for Qatar 1, which was Faisal Yafi. He did basically DD2, the shifter category. 10 minutes after that, he's thrown in to start the 2-hour endurance race. This guy is an absolute stud. He's just one of the best elite drivers. And he did us proud. A lot of mayhem on lap 1. You'll see into the double hairpin. Leaders go through cleanly. And then there's one guy being pit maneuvered, another guy being pit maneuvered, and it's just chaos. Unfortunately for Karim, if you look at the live timing, he not only got bumped down to 10th, the worst is yet to come. You'll see over here the leaders. Push to pass galore. I mean, I'll be honest, it wasn't the cleanest of races. People have their opinions about it. But did anyone get penalties? No. And that's what could have been a lot better in this race. You'll see the understeer I'm talking about, how the kart 21 cannot turn right. He's full lock to the right, and he's just going off the track. So you'll see these few karts which are just horrible. From 2nd, he's gone down to 7th. We skip ahead a few laps. And you'll now see Qatar 4, my teammate, kart 17. What the heck? He's in 20th. What's happened? Unfortunately, he got bumped and taken out to last place. And this was really, really unfortunate because we knew from the start that we had a good kart and we were going to fight for it. And in the start, he got completely messed up, bumped not once, twice, and the second time took him to last. And that's where over the team radio, because we had communication, I was very, very strategic. I didn't say anything. In fact, from the moment he started to when he spun off, I didn't tell him anything over the radio because I know Karim, he's got emotions running through him. This was one of his first, big races that he did. I said he's going to take care of business. And take care of business did he do? Let's skip ahead to 20 minutes into the race. You'll see Qatar 4 all the way from the last. In 20 minutes, he made up 12 places, up to 8th. That was only the start. Let's skip ahead another 20 minutes. So from 1 hour 40 to about 1 hour 20, let's bring it to. You can see he's up to 7th. I believe he made it up to 6th by the end of his stint. You can see there. In 50 minutes of driving, which we had a good kart, by the way, from last to 6th. And now, in a 2-hour endurance race with 1 hour 10 to go, and you're 16 seconds behind the leader, I'll tell you what, that's not too shabby at all. And we were so pleased that Faisal Yafi you're seeing over here in kart number 3 for Qatar 1, faultless. I told you he did the DD2 stint before, which was a wild race. He's just lapping consistent timings, and he's out in front. So we really had a decision to make here now. And this is where everything goes wrong. Now, you've got to trust your strategy. You can't deviate. You can't get caught up in the moment like we're going to do. The bottom line is, an endurance race like this, where there's so much spread in the karts, when you have a good kart like Qatar 1 did, who are leading the race, and my teammate Kareem did in P6, you've got to go long in those karts. Don't pit too early. There's a kart rotation system. What does that mean? When you go to the pit lane, there's one line of karts that come in, and the first kart in that line is the one you're going to take. So the moment you enter the pit stop, you refuel, and then your teammate, or if you're on a double stint, go and take the next kart in line. So me and my other teammate, who was the team manager actually in the pit lane at this time, we're looking, oh, kart 27's in the line. Kart 2 is there. There's a couple of good karts. And that's where we really messed up. We said, you know what, why don't we bring them in? Let's bring them in now so we can, for the next stint, give them a good kart. But in hindsight, once the dust has settled now, that was the wrong move to do. Because we're trading something certain, because we had the 103 karts there, to something uncertain. You can't guarantee you're going to get a good kart in the line. Even if you play your strategy right, somebody can jump you in the pit stop. And that's what happened. The other teams got in front. They ended up taking the good karts. We ended up taking the bad karts. And that's where, for the rest of the race, everything went wrong. We got the tractors. I'm talking a kart which was 105, 106. And we had to cob for it for the rest of the race. So by leading on the early stint to having the chance of going long, we didn't. And that's on us completely. We basically ended the race in, what was it, outside the top 10, 10th or 11th, you can see. Now, what do you notice on the left-hand side of the screen? You'll see there's UAE, there's Morocco, there's Algeria, and Oman. And they all did the basics, right? They had a good kart from the beginning. They went long, 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40. That's how the fuel runs in a good kart. And by the end of the race, once everything evens out, because you do your pit stops towards the end, it was UAE who took the victory, which was well deserved. Morocco second, Oman third, and I believe it was Lebanon fourth. So the moral of this race is, when you have a good kart, you got to go long, build that buffer. Even if after 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40, you do a pit stop and you get a bad kart or a tractor like we did, you built up that buffer, right? You've only got 20 minutes until the race ends, so it's fine. And you can see UAE, Morocco, Oman, Algeria all did that strategy. If I bring you back to 1 hour 10, just before we pit Kareem and Faisal, you'll see he was right behind these guys, the podium guys. So Morocco 2 finished on the podium, Oman finished on the podium. We were only 3 seconds behind at this point. And we were going faster. So had we extended that extra 30, 40 minutes, he would have overtaken them and he would have passed it. But that's all easy to say now, huh? Once the dust has settled. We were really frustrated after this race. And the following day, we woke up, we said it's all about going all guns blazing. What does that mean? We had a sprint race to come up. What is the sprint race? Qualifying, pre-final, final. Every man for himself. Now, the caveat in this, in the rental category, is that every single heat, qualifying, pre-final, final, you're going to change your kart. So let's say you get a good kart in quali, good kart in pre-final. It means nothing because the points and prizes are awarded in the final. So if you get a bad kart in the final, you can literally go from first to last. We'll see what happens. What is this the start of? I believe this is the start of pre-final. So let's bring up our qualifying. I think qualifying went well for me. I did my best in the kart that I had. Overall, I took P3, and that put me in contention to start the race, the pre-final in P3. Let's have a look at it. Is this us? believe this is our heat. And the good thing was, we had 3 of the Qatar drivers, first, second, third. So we could really work together. And the pre-final was probably faultless. We put all of our frustrations from the endurance race behind us and said, you know what, we're going to full send it. And as I said, we had 3 drivers in the top 5, you can see. Sorry, 4 drivers in the top 5. Kareem, Tamim, Khalid, and Umar, you can see. So we start the pre-final. We realized that Kareem, who's leading the race now, and myself had the quickest karts. So you'll see Khalid and Tamim sort of give us way and let us crack on. And that's exactly what happened. Once you get a good kart in the pre-final, it's all about running with it, right? Do your consistent laps, don't get into trouble, try and avoid as many penalties as possible. And that's exactly what we did. Until the last lap, which of course we come across some lap traffic, and this proved to be the deciding factor. So when you have lap traffic, you assume that they're not going to give you a hard time, they're not going to battle hard. Well, it's quite the opposite with this driver. You'll see Kareem is just passing him now down the inside on the main straight, and that's me in 38 coming on the back. Now, I've got nothing to lose at this point. Look, I've got 4.8 second gap or 4-second gap to P4 behind me, or P3. I'm not going to take a risk. Really, if you want to dive bomb into turn 1, you've got to be a bit closer. So I'm in the slipstream, And I think, okay, he knows I'm here for sure because my teammate just passed him. I'm just going to wait for him to let me through. And you can see at this moment, he slows down on the on the inside of turn 1. Turn 1 is flat out. So when you slow down at turn 1, it means you're reducing speed and you're probably going to let the guy through. That's what happens. Look, nice guy, he's letting me through. I go around the outside. Boom. Just tags me over here. Whoop, I'm going sideways. And I'm thrown off the track. I save it in the end. I don't spin out fully. But I'm like, come on, I nearly got taken out by a lap kart. So here we go again into the chicane. I make sure this time to get past. Driver spins out slightly. I got to take my position. And that, unfortunately, lost us valuable time. Fortunately, we don't have the start of the race on the live stream over here. But that wasn't it. I thought I got a handy P2. I'm chilling. For the pre-final, or excuse me, the final, I'm going to be starting in position 4, because there's 2 groups, by the way. Unfortunately, there's a start procedure where you got to stay within the tram lines. Now, this is a very, very basic rule in racing. If we have a look at the group 1 start, let's just brief you about the tram lines. You'll see pole position is on the right. He's staying within those lines. And second place and all the drivers behind stay within that. You've got to stay within the tram lines until the red lights go out. So we're all looking at the red lights. As soon as the red lights go out, boom, you can sort of disperse. Here they're restarting the start, so that's why no one's crossing over. They deem me to cross the tram lines too early. And that was a huge mistake of mine because I basically followed P2 who was in front of me. And the analogy that race director gave me in the briefing room is, if that driver jumped off a cliff, would you follow him? No. So if somebody else is doing a mistake, don't follow them. And absolutely, it's another mistake during a week which was littered with mistakes. And you can see that 5-second penalty put me way down to start the final in 12th position. And this is it, the big final. Main thing I was happy about is Kareem. He did an amazing weekend. He drove so well in the endurance as my teammate. He put it on the front row for the final. Look at that, he's starting P2. Again, they shuffle all the karts up. So I'll be honest, we did not have the rub at the green. And I don't think the kart would even matter if you look at the kind of terrorism that happened on lap 1. I am talking bumper cars, plus you'll see people going all over the track. By the time we even get to the mid part of lap 1, which is where I went, oh my gosh, just look at this into the chicane. Holy moly. That's another driver taken out. And here we go on the exit of the double hairpin. The camera unfortunately cuts away, but you can see this pack of cars in the background. I get tagged, spun around basically on this straight, and the race is over. I mean, imagine that. That's how aggressive people were. And there were no penalties given after, which was just unbelievable. Now you'll see, look in the background over here. Watch, boom, that barrier is just bumped. That's me going into the barrier, literally launched up the barrier. And yeah, that was the race over. You can see, look, I'm spun around in the background there. So that was an unfortunate end to an awful, awful race week, which there's a lot of pressure riding on. Obviously, you're representing, your different countries over here. You're battling against each other. One notable mention before we round off, which I really, really loved from our team in DD2, was this teamwork. So this is a classic example of working together. Let's go to DD2, lap 4, and you'll see how did Taha and Faisal end up 1-2 for Qatar in this heat. Watch this. Beautiful bit of strategy. So you can see right now it's Algeria leading, Qatar second, Morocco third, Qatar fourth. Putting on a bit of pressure, coming onto the final lap, you can see the top 4 are now almost bumper to bumper. Taha's going to go and try and make a move, I believe. Is it now? Yes, he does. Sticks it up the inside. It's probably going to be the next lap then. He makes his move beautifully around the outside. Yeah, this was the around the outside move. Side by side into turn 1. In these karts, you're hitting 120 on these 130. And round the outside sweeps and makes up a move. Wait till the end of the next lap, which is going to be over here. Coming up soon. Boom. Watch the right-hand side screen. He's backed them up. He's backed them up. These two drivers are really fighting him to take the race lead. Beautiful switchback by Faisal to now go down the inside of everyone. And now Faisal was smart because we're 1 and 2. You can see, watch his arm come out. He waves Taha through, go down the inside. And they're 1 and 2. That was a beautiful, beautiful exchange. Now, I do recommend you guys, because we don't have much time over here, go and watch this live stream when you have time. It's worth watching this race to learn from the racecraft. I'll put the link to it. This is going to be day 1. And then this is going to be day 2. Remember, these are top drivers in Middle East and North Africa. There's a wonderful, wonderful commentary team, which unfortunately we've had to mute because I've been commentating over this. And yeah, I highly recommend you guys check that out. So MENA this year was, quite frankly, a disaster, a week littered with mistakes. And in motorsports, it's ruthless. You get punished. When you don't fulfill your strategy, when things go wrong, you leave empty-handed. Thankfully, though, across all the categories, we did score enough points to finish the Nations Cup in 3rd. So overall, we were 3rd. And we'll take that. Let's move on to Naveed before we run out of time, actually. And Naveed, I believe you've got some footage over here because you mentioned my local karting track's closing down, and you've put on some footage of the same track that we discussed last time. Right, let's go right into it. When was this footage recorded? Right after Track Help last month?
No, actually, this was yesterday, I believe.
From the last session to now, after you joined Track Help?
Sorry, you cut out there.
You managed to get your timing down, right? From the last time you drove to now?
I hit the lap record.
There you go. Superb, superb. So how much of an improvement was that before Track Help and after Track Help?
I went from, I think, on adult karting, I hit the record. So I went from 22.9 to 19.024.
Beautiful, beautiful. I remember Gabriel, one of the regular drivers here, also logged in, and he was giving you some tips, which I can see you've put into practice. And that's one of the things that we're going to cover over here, which is basically the final corner, right? Which is where you can possibly go full speed. Right now in the footage, is this the reverse layout that you're driving?
Yeah, this is.
I thought this looked a bit different because when you do a layout in the normal direction, you get used to it. And the moment they flip it around, everything sort of changes, right? Your approaches, your braking points, angle of certain corners, apexes. So what was the timing during this session that you got on reverse?
They emailed it to me. One sec, let me check.
Is it significantly faster or slower than the normal layout? What are we dealing with?
Let me check. On the reverse layout, my best was 20.3.
Yep.
And then my best usually I improved a bit. Okay, never mind, wrong thing. My usual is 20.
So 3 seconds. Not 3 seconds. 1 second. 1.5 seconds.
0.3 seconds.
Oh, 0.3 seconds. Okay, there's not that much in it then. Which specific corner then did you want to focus on for today? Was it this last corner, technically first corner in reverse?
Yeah, just the third corner there.
Third corner or first corner in reverse?
Like
Is it
this is
this
the main
corner?
straight here.
So is this the corner you wanted to focus on?
No, the third corner.
Third corner, gotcha. I was going to say, just before we get on to the third corner, it's probably easier now to take this faster in reverse. Technically, the first
Yeah,
corner.
I would say so.
Pretty much flat, right?
It is flat.
Yeah. So what we have here is the advantage of reverse. Because when you come at this from the opposite direction from here, and then you're exiting onto the main straight, there's no runoff, right? These barriers, as we discussed last month, are way, way too close. So it's all about the finesse and the angle if you really want to go flat out. When you do the opposite direction, you can see it becomes tight on the entry, which is no problem. You go from the outside, you cut in tight to the apex. And really, you're not even concerned about the exit and runoff here because so far out, and there's so much more space now to go comfortably flat out, as you mentioned. Through turn 2, this is turn 2, right?
Yeah. No, that's turn 3.
Is this turn 3?
Yeah.
Cool. Again, we have the same scenario here, except this time, rather than the exit becoming nice and wide for us when we drive it in the normal direction, it's now the exit that's going to become slightly tricky for us. What are you facing at turn 3? What do you feel is going wrong and you want to improve on?
Also this corner too.
Turn 3 and 4.
It's just feel like the exit just comes kind of like at you there. If you see,
Okay.
like right there, it
Yeah.
just kind of comes out.
That's a great observation. And I want to slow this down actually, because that's exactly what we're talking about. How you have the confidence to push on entry, but then you feel that the exit is just too tight. A couple of ways to take this. Number one is the late apex, late turning approach. I like how you've got the track map up as well. And we can potentially use this as a reference. So basically this is turn 3, right? And that's turn 4. So what happens when we have lots of space on the corner entry, like you can see here? Generally approach it at a slightly wider angle and try to go late and deep into the corner with your braking and turning. So if you can continue more in a straight line, pick up the gas just before the apex, and you can see how I'm leaving space early, not trying to turn in too early. And then at the last moment, once the corner becomes tighter and tighter, then I can sort of cut across the track. So what the late apex allows me to do is skip a lot of this early part of the corner, which is the barrier in your case.
Mm-hmm.
Apex close at the end of the corner here, but then not get compromised by the exit barrier coming too close to you. So all it's about is being patient and just delaying that turn in further than you feel. Because naturally, when you take a corner, you can see it's tight. Okay, I want to turn in and get close to the apex. It's just about flipping that mindset. Let me turn in a bit later. And I can encourage you also to brake a bit later. Let's go back to that lap, 6:39. Yep, just over here. You can almost follow this black line as a reference. Just keep going deep, 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 and then go for your turn. This was a good effort, I'd say. Again, still, you're coming in close. So when you apex close, you naturally get thrown off wide. And then we don't have much runoff to go into. So when you feel that, hold on, I'm exiting at full speed, the barrier is coming close to you, you might lift off the gas a little, right? You might turn in a bit extra just to save the kart from crashing. So all we want to do, continue in a straight line, attacking this corner. Doesn't mean that we have to slow it down significantly. No, actually just continue down in a straight line, later brake, sharp late turn, and then from the outside, then you come and cut across the track to the left-hand side. That will set you up for turn 4 nicely. Because once we can start having the straight line coming out of the left, it sets us up to be in the middle. I would say actually 3/4 away from the inside edge. So you're going to be positioned somewhere over here. And we've got a tight right-hand turn 4 coming up. It's basically like this long winding hairpin you can see. What happened on this lap? Were you braking at turn 4?
Yeah, I just kind of started breaking into the corner a little bit by accident.
Yep. Braking, turning sort of at the same time as well. And then the rear end snaps out a little. So you just want to be a bit more cautious, a bit more gentle with that. We'll have a look at some other laps. Overall here, identify your apex point number 1. When you have an idea of what your apex point should be, it sets everything up in terms of where you should brake, where you should turn in. Now, when we look at your track map.
Oh, yeah. Also, I was really struggling, not in this session, I don't think, but I kept hitting the wall after turn 4.
Yeah,
right,
over here?
Right there.
Gotcha. I think you can repeat a lot of what we did in turn 3, or what we were saying you could do in turn 3, in terms of that sort of later turn in and later apex, where we want to get tight to the corner here. The moment we start getting too tight to the corner somewhere early or even middle, I would say, it encourages a path like this, where you go tight and then you go wide, right? And then you end up hitting that barrier. The moment we can just delay and actually use a lot of this track, which is there for us, to then go for a sharp later turn and comfortably make sure we're hitting our apex at the latter part of the corner. And this then sets us up for the final corner. You can see how everything works out there. If we go back to your footage, let's have a look at it. Some other runs of turn 4. Coming out at 3, into 4. Yep, slightly smoother that time. I think over here as well, you can see a nice example of just turning in a bit early and a bit too close. So when we hit this even middle apex, then it just throws you out a little wide. You've got to reduce speed on exit. This is another example of turn 4, pushing the limits over there. It's totally normal. Again, when you brake hard and you turn, you can see your steering wheel there. It just lights up the rear, and then you spin out. But what are you doing here? You're testing the limits. So I always say, if you're not spinning, you're not pushing hard enough, kind of thing. So there's absolutely no shame in that. Coming through turn 4, this is a lot smoother this time. I want to see how you took it this time. I think the reason why it was smoother turn 4 over here is actually how you delayed the throttle input. So look, you're smoothly on the brakes and controlling the gas, then back again on the gas slightly, and then fully on it on the exit. So a few things that you can try out next time for turn 4.
Yeah.
Go for an approach. Sorry, go for an approach similar to what you did on this lap. So you can see how you're approaching wider. You're keeping that space to the inside, which is nice. And you're delaying that turn in. You're actually getting your braking done about now this time. And then tightening up the steering angle as we get closer and closer to the inside apex. And this is really where we want to be as tight as possible. Once you can get tight over here, the late apex, it sets you up to exit the corner on the right-hand side of the track towards the right. So it opens up this left. I still think though, look, this was a nice attempt, but use a bit more of the entry even, right? Stay wider longer. Now, what does that mean? When you stay wider longer, you can carry more speed. You don't have to brake too early. So again, we're attacking this corner, leaving the space to the inside. Don't turn in too early. Don't turn in too early. I would probably say the braking gets done somewhere at this yellow line. So just at that patch. If you can brake and then sharp turn, because braking and turning encourages rotation, then you'll be able to hit the latter part of the corner.
So like white barriers when I should brake?
Yeah, I think it's really going to be on feeling. Here, I'm just taking some barriers as an example. And again, this can change. But when this, these barriers sort of stick out, I would say, then you can start going for your braking. But you got to be wider, right? You want to be somewhere over on the left side. Then it opens up the right for you. When are you going to go to the track next?
Today.
Superb. In how long?
I think around 3 sessions.
Okay. And meaning, what time are you going to go to the track? In an hour, 2 hours?
Oh, probably after this is finished.
Excellent. There you go. You got 2 easy things to work on. I would say they're repeated concepts by simply attacking the corner entry, delaying your turn in. Don't turn in too early. If you feel that you're taking too much speed and you're sliding at the last moment, then bring the braking a bit early, but still keep the turn in later. Make sure we're hitting a late apex at turn 3 and hitting a late apex at turn 4, using that space we have on corner entry.
Yeah. Also, I'm wondering, like, I'm on quite a budget.
Yep.
So, and the track is closing down. Would it be possible to do owner karting on a budget like that?
Honestly, it depends on what your budget is. Now, the main cost with owner karting is buying the cart, right? To get started. 2 options to go about it. You can buy the engine separately. You can buy the chassis separately. Those are typically available as brand new. Now, there might be instances where you do a bit of scouting and in the local community or clubs, one guy's selling a chassis, one guy's selling a used engine, but then you got to do the assembling and things like that. The best way to go about it on a budget is looking for an all-inclusive, ready-to-go cart, which has ideally low engine hours because you don't want to be spending time rebuilding it after you buy it, and also a decent condition chassis which isn't bent. Check the bottom of the chassis. Has it been scratched a lot? Basically been jumping on curbs. Alignment of things. Ask the owner about the accident history. These are all basic questions that not only do you ask when you buy a used car, but also a used car as well. So I'm sure you can use ChatGPT. I wouldn't even say ChatGPT. Use the karting assistants, which are in the academy, free to use over here. What questions should I ask when I buy a used car? But really, when you try to do it on a budget, you got to think, am I using it for training or am I using it for competing? Because the bottom line in owner karting is the guy who invests more money in better equipment is going to win the races, as opposed to the guy who's struggling to buy tires. He's not got a fresh engine. That's just how things add up. The guy with a new engine and new tires is going to beat the guy with a used engine and old tires, right? So you got to be realistic about things. If it's just for training, this is absolutely fine. But sit down, make your overall plan. What am I in it for? And then you got to set some targets aside, because with anything, have a clear focus and then tick those one by one as you go, whatever's within your own means, right? So if you've only got the budget to do training, it's fine. At least it's experience, right? Your local track will be closing down, so you don't want to lose time and lose sharpness. Do something that you can. Yeah.
Also, one last thing: is it possible to? Because I'm turning 13 now, so it would be a little bit late to start in, because my track has like a lot of different classes.
Okay.
And many people told me to start in Briggs. But I was thinking of starting in senior Rotax or junior Rotax, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Which is better to start in Briggs or Rotax?
How old are you again?
I'm turning 13 in November.
Okay. I think you've got like 2 years, 1.5 years left for technically the junior max category before you're eligible to join senior, which is sometimes it's normally 15 plus. Some allow 14 years
14.
old if you've got, sufficient experience and things like that. And if you do Rotax junior or senior, then again, you're changing the engine. So that has to tie into your plan. I know a driver in our community, he did junior for a year. So he bought the cart, he bought the engine. And then the next year he sold the engine only and then just put a senior engine in. So yeah, it comes down to what is within your budget. I believe Briggs is probably going to be more cost effective because again, Rotax is you're spending a lot on number one, the engine, rebuilding the engine, the parts. It might be a bit more. Is Briggs 4-stroke or 2-stroke? Because I've not heard of it actually before.
I don't know.
If it's a 4-stroke championship, similar to GX UK, for example, that's going to be a lot more cost effective. The engine runs a lot longer. It's like putting a rental car engine, but in a pro kart chassis. So you get a bit more speed and things like that. So definitely weigh up the two options. I would always go for if you're trying to be scouted or network. Rotax is obviously going to attract the higher level of those people, but again, that's just a generalization. Just because happens in a few countries, it doesn't necessarily mean in other countries that might be the case, or Briggs is inferior. No, absolutely not. You're always going to be able to network with different people, but generally, the more serious drivers who you see do world championships and all, they do start in Rotax. We're going to have to move on, Naveed, yeah?
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Eric, are you still there?
Yes. Yeah, hello.
Superb. Let's go ahead and have a look at your track. Kart de Dieu, is that correct? Karting Kart de Dieu?
Yes, exactly. It's near the F1 circuit of Spain.
I was just zooming out to have a look because that sounds like you're near, is it Andorra?
Yeah, near Barcelona also. Exactly.
Good friend of mine does a lot of motorbike riding there and many competitions. But karting, I know he always does on his way during these trips. He's like, I'll always just do a bit of karting for fun. So I'm sure he's been to Carduda. How long have you been going to Carduda for?
It's a circuit I have near home, so
yeah,
I don't know, some years, but very sporadically.
Superb. So how long you been doing karting for? Like,
I'm 26 and I don't know. I've been doing karting, but like a hobby, not very focused.
No, as a hobby.
Yeah, for as long as I can remember, but like
Amazing.
Once a year, something like that.
Okay, so you always try to get it done at least once or a few times a day. Is it that more with friends you go with? How do you go about it?
Yes, exactly. But now I'm trying to be a little more serious because I would love to try the faster karting there, and they require a time that's relatively competitive. The time.
Right.
Trying to learn the track.
Basically, all tracks have that requirement in the rental karts that if you have this time, it'll be safe enough, I guess, for you to drive the pro karts. Is my screen frozen or is it just me?
Yeah, I think it's frozen in my end also.
We'll let this pop up in a moment.
It's frozen.
This happened last time, I remember. It's okay. It'll come back in a moment. Basically, if you try to put a regular person who's never done karting before in a 2-stroke kart like we were watching early in this stream, it's not safe. No seat belts, 120, 130 on the straights.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster. So a lot of the fundamentals you'll learn in rental karts. And once you transition over to the race karts, you're going to really double down on things like your braking technique, which is slightly different. A lot comes down to smooth driving as well, and even body posture as well to an extent. Really, when you go over to a race kart, you're trying to be the most smooth and precise driver as possible. In rentals, it's the opposite because each kart is different. Some you literally have to manhandle. Some you got to literally have half your body leaning out the kart just to get grip. Others are, perfect on right-hand corners but terrible on lefts. So as a driver, you really have to pull all the tricks out your bag just to get the most out of any kart. So there's many pros and cons, I would say, in terms of habits you can learn from rentals, but it's always a target as a driver, especially if you're passionate and you're doing it like you are for many, many years. At least you got to try some experience of pro karts one day. So this looks like it's a typical public karting session. Is that correct?
Yeah, but not many people. I got a few laps alone. I think almost all of them.
Yeah, that's excellent. First of all, starting towards the front of the queue, it always helps because once you pass the first couple of guys, then you, as you said, got your string of laps to go fast before you probably end up lapping people. But if it's few people anyway, then generally you'll have clean air. It looks like this was towards evening, sunset time.
Yeah.
So the weather sort of was ideal.
Yeah, it was. It's in the summer more or less, and it wasn't very humid. That I think might be the problem, but here no, it was good.
Was this recorded last week or as you said, sometime in summer?
I don't remember exactly. I have the papers there, but I think it was a couple of weeks, 1 month ago.
Okay, yeah, sometime in September, let's say.
Yeah,
I think having visited different tracks around the world, especially in Europe, they tend to get their record timings during the summertime where things just heat up a bit more. There's a bit more grip on track compared to, of course, what's to come in November, December, January, the rainy months where you can forget your track records on slick tires on a wet track. So this is honestly a great time to not only get some timings in, but utilize the really nice performance you get from these Saudi karts. I have to say that the karts you're driving here are some of the best rental karts in the world because there's many different manufacturers. Handling wise, using the brakes to rotate the kart, even how the kart handles in corners is one of the best. And really they use this in top level races. If we just go to your notes over here, I think this is a nice description you put. You're trying to qualify to get, obviously, a seat in the Rotax rental. It's going to have to be in the 43 to 43.5 range.
Yes.
So you're about half a second off, which can easily be found. And there's going to be, is there some kind of a reference? You said your friend's lap. Was that you with that?
No, here my fastest lap. It's in the video. It's at 7 minutes 45.
Yeah.
But I don't have references from friends.
You didn't mention anything about your friend having a lap time.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, maybe I misread that. Cool. Let's go ahead to the fastest lap on 7:45, and then I want to just see some specific turns. 7:45. Let's go ahead to that. What we're dealing with over here is quite a high-speed layout with a number of hairpins and then probably chicane-style corners. Pretty much flat through the first couple of turns before we come to what looks like our first breaking point of the lap into the hairpin. So was this all flat out from?
Yeah. I think in the
turn
track.
1. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's all flat out except 2 turns actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
We go through our right-hander, which is the hairpin, into the more technical part of the track. So this is that chicane style corner I was talking about. The left-right. Is this pretty much flat out as well? Left into the right?
Here, yes. Yeah.
Excellent. And then potentially, again, flat out through the double left. Perfect. Love this. This looks like a nice high-speed section.
Yeah.
Using that an exit and then a second braking point, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Into the hairpin, coming towards the end of the lap now, which you can say is the start of sector 3. The right-hander, is this a lift or flat out?
Here it's flat out also.
Nice. I can see that into the final a couple of corners now. And that's it. So what we can identify straight away from your fastest lap, there's basically 2 key braking points. What are the key corners that you feel you can still improve on?
Yeah, I think in this recording, the first one where I brake, I think I do it not great.
So basically, yeah, first braking point you can
exactly,
say.
yeah.
Okay.
I think I go very in the outside
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit too fast in the entering.
Any other corners you feel?
I'm pretty happy in the other one where I brake. And the other ones I don't know. Just in the end. Not yeah, exactly. There the car vibrates a lot. I don't know how to handle that, if it's something that happens, but yeah.
Juddering, the good old juddering in these karts. We're going to come to that. I agree. This, based on your fastest lap, I think I could see maybe a slight improvement in the hairpin over here. Just sort of figure out what you're actually doing, your current approach, because from what I can tell is you've got the confidence to push. Let's put it into slow-mo. Currently, where is your braking point? Is it on feeling? Is it at a specific location on the track?
More a little bit earlier where the tires stop. So
okay, the first set of tires over here.
Yeah, so at the end, more or less, here in the red ones.
You can see hard on the brakes, trying to get the kart turned in, and then on this lap you can see how it sort of understeers out. Let's have a look. So this is at 8 minutes on the dot. Where were the other good laps? You said there were 2:30?
But actually the last one, so the one that's not time recorded, I think I'm very happy with that corner.
Basically the in lap.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
It's so funny because when I did one of the races, it was my first time at the track, and then the organizer of the competition's like, so how was the session? And I was like, yeah, it was good at the beginning, but I think my in lap was the fastest. He's like, you're not meant to push on the in lap. It's in lap for a reason. And look at that, beautiful. I could see what you mean. No, I mean, in a public karting session, of course, why not? I mean, you push to the end, but
of course,
there's no traffic like that. Let's just compare the 2 examples here, because I think what you've done on the in lap is use the brakes really to get some rotation, save the kart on entry, and get back onto the gas sufficiently and smoothly before the apex. You can see the difference in line as well. Number 1 is, as we said, turning the kart. This was done quickly and pretty much on the limit, I would say, of sliding and losing time. Recovering well to come to the apex, which this looks like it's ideal. And then running the kart out to prepare for the next turn. Now, if you had one of the telemetry devices, it would be interesting to actually show you. Have you seen any of my reels about telemetry device?
Yeah.
Amazing. So what we have here is basically an app which will show you sector by sector. And at the end of the session, it will show you an optimal lap time. Because what happens across the course of the lap, maybe your sector 1 and sector 2 is really good. But then as you saw on the best lap over there, in the hairpin, you lost some time. So the optimal lap puts the best sector 1, 2, and 3 together. And it might say you could gain 3/10, right? If you put everything together. So it's very, very handy to use on this phone mount, which, by the way, you can get on the KTips Instagram. I've put all the details there. So I reckon comparing the in lap to 8 minutes, which is going to be over here, 2 3/10, easily 2 3/10, which means we can find some more time as well to bring you down to that half second. Now, what you want to do is be consistent. Because at the end of the day, yes, we want to get the lap time, but they said you need to get 43s to 43.5s, 3 to 4 consecutive laps. So they are doubling down on their requirement. They want you to be smooth every lap. That's where we got to take the more cautious approach, which is going away from that full send, one-shot qualifying lap to how can I take this hairpin as smooth as possible, lap after lap. And it comes down to the driving style approach. Sometimes when we're too focused or we're thinking too much about hard braking, using the brakes to turn the kart, because I've had this with a lot of my students, Sometimes they hit it perfectly, sometimes they understeer off. They don't hit it as hard. So start off with a conservative approach. If you're happy with the braking point, which is just after the tire barriers, now you can use the technique, which is progressive ramp up. What does that mean? As opposed to ideally going for that short, hard braking period where you spike up the brake pressure, wait for the rotation, and then release, we're sort of going to go steadily up until we reach the biting point. What is the biting point? That's where we feel that movement in the rear of the cart where it rotates, and that's where we release off the brakes. So what this more progressive approach does, and it probably requires you to start the braking as well a little earlier, is guarantees a more consistent approach, right? Because when you're progressively ramping up, you're not only reducing speed, but eventually as we get towards the corner over here, deeper into it, you're going to feel some rotation. I think the priority at this corner is every lap, how can I make it to the inside apex? Like I want my right tire, as you showed me on the in lap, to be here. And it's going to be taking that smoother approach and going for a slightly earlier turn in. So the moment we slow it down over here, let's say even at the end, maybe just before the tires end on the left side, you'll feel that comfortably I can rotate the cart. I'm in control now. And basically the benefit of doing early brake is to then do early gas. And that's what you should really try to target each lap. Because in rental carts, once we can start feeding the gas progressively now, it's all about holding about 50% of gas, straighten up the wheel at the apex, so make sure I've hit that. And then on the exit, 100, then you'll be able to be rewarded for that conservative approach that you took, yeah? So definitely apply the concept of progressive ramp up for your braking. Start with earlier. And once you can do that, you'll be more and more in control. Some small things, I guess, for the back end of the lap, because I think you can definitely gain a tenth or two in the left-hander over here, is again going for a similar approach where we're not full sending it as per se into the corner. We're sort of going for that progressive braking ramp up, and ideally trying to get the cart rotated and much closer towards our inside apex over here. I believe this is just paint, right? It's maybe a little bump, but it's just painted.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not even like a proper curb, which is drilled into the ground, as you probably see on the left over here. So definitely this is going to be a reference on the left. And I reckon if you can prioritize that corner entry, progressive ramp up of the brake, get the car turned in and rotated, come a lot closer now. And once you accelerate out to the corner, right, you might feel, okay, I need to use a bit more of the exit as well. Feel free to do so. Early brake, early gas, better exit speed. You might want to come out maybe half a cart towards the right-hand side over here. And then once we attack the second hairpin, because I want you to continue doing this flat out, similar to what you're doing over here. Look at this, coming nice and close, riding over the curb there. Probably adding a bit of leaning. Are you leaning at all in this corner?
Yeah, to the outside. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Continue to keep that up. Lean out. Put pin to the floor, 100% gas. Just smoothly ride over the curb. The juddering that you're talking about in the last corner comes for a couple of reasons. Generally, how the track layout flows. And then also, you're going at full speed. So the tires are rotating. You're going over this bumpy patch. This is where I'd say firm grip of the steering wheel. Keep your foot on the gas, because if we want less juddering, we got to lift off the gas. But when we lift off the gas, we reduce speed. And this is absolutely a corner where you don't want to lift off the gas. The more speed you can carry, firm grip on the steering wheel, even lean out a little over here as you turn right. Just ride those bumps. Riding the bumps in this case, probably going to be the best bet.
Okay.
When are you going to go to the track next?
I was thinking maybe next week.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let us know how you get on, because I think that's a solid couple of improvements to put into practice, and you'll see the trend over here. It's nothing complicated, simply going for that earlier, more progressive braking approach, prioritizing smooth application onto the gas before the apex, and making sure we get to the apex, right? Each lap, whether it's for the right-hand hairpin or that left-hand hairpin. And hopefully, once you can do that lap after lap after lap, not only will your timing come down, I'm very, very confident, to a 43, it can be then 2, 3, 4 laps consecutive. Yeah.
Okay.
Let us know how you get on. We look forward to seeing some footage in the future, and hopefully in next month's track help session. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Thanks a lot, Omar.
It's been a pleasure, Eric. We've hit the 1 hour mark, but I can't be harsh on you guys. I did spend 20 minutes analyzing my own footage, so let's give it a bit of extra time for today. We got a question from Jeremy. What's up, Jeremy?
Hello.
We can hear you loud and clear. What's up, Jeremy?
So, is it alright if I'm going to ask a question?
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
So, basically, I had a race today
Okay.
and I've signed up for the championship, and
Super.
it was the third round. So, there was a sprint race and a feature race. So, the sprint race is like you qualify, then it's a sprint, then your sprint, where you finish in the sprint race determines for the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So in the sprint race, I came fifth, and after penalties, I was third.
Okay.
But then in the Grand Prix, I went from third to eighth. I just seemed like, and I looked over the lap times, and I did slower laps in the final compared to the sprint, which shouldn't make sense because of track evolution and stuff. So I was just wondering, do you know possibly why? I was thinking maybe because I was like less concentrated or more like fatigued, but that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I was just getting overtaken left, right, and center.
Wow. Same kart?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's very, very interesting. How far off were the lap times on average?
My ones.
Yeah, between technically the sprint race and the feature race.
Maybe an average of like 2 tenths or 1 tenth.
2 tenths, 1 tenth.
And the D Maxes went after the sprint race to do their sprint race and quali.
Yeah.
So obviously more rubber on the track, so it technically should be faster, but
it could be. It'd be interesting to actually compare everyone else's sprint and feature race lap times. Did you have a check at that by any chance? What others were doing, if they had the same issue?
Not yet, but I could check.
Yeah, because generally in the track, you can see a trend if there was a problem with evolution. And also, the track can get better or worse, regardless if you got more people going on or not, because the weather has a huge impact on that and things like that. You could also say, okay, your own performance where you maybe got a bit tired, fatigued. I would also say just psychologically, when you start third, you feel there's a bit more riding on it. You got the chance to go first. Also, you got the chance to lose the podium. Was that how your mental state was, or?
Yeah, and
definitely that does mess with you sometimes. I'll be honest, but it'll be interesting to see what everyone else was doing and then come to the conclusion. Because if everyone else was also slower, it just means the track was, evolving in a certain way. But if you lost a lot of places, number one, it'll be good to see the footage of that race, because as you know, your pace technically was on course for P5. So being boosted up by penalties, it's fine. Naturally, you'll have to defend from those quicker guys who got penalized then. And whatever extra places you lost, we'll have to identify through the footage. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Because I think after I got overtaken like once or twice, I just got really annoyed and just lost focus. Then I just got freight trained by two cars, and it was just like I just was over.
That's it. See, the mental state of a driver will definitely impact lap times, and it looks like something has happened there as well, which directly correlates. Now, losing focus, getting frustrated. I mean, I had the same thing on the MENA karting race, which I just briefed you guys over, especially in the endurance where we had a really bad kart, and then in the sprint after I got spun out. But I've learned through experience that you got to just dust yourself off or dust your mind off those thoughts within the matter of corners and get back onto the line, onto pace, because that's what the other guys are going to be doing. Once they sense an opportunity to pass you or make up a position, they're going to be ruthless, and it'll be 1-2 guys who follow each other through their pass, and ultimately for you get hung out to dry and then you lose places. It'll be worth having a look over that footage though at some point. Did you still want us to go through your footage you put here though?
This was the one where I've in the sprint race, the feature race I haven't uploaded yet, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, look, what we're going to do, because we are running out of time now. We've got about 10 minutes to go. Let's finish off with William, because he put his on, and then we'll round off with anything that you might have, yeah? And if you got time to upload yours as well, that'll be good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's get straight into it. William, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right. So you're competing in a regional karting event where they combine 2 tracks, and this was your second time ever. What was your timing?
So I got this was 38.3, and I was talking to one of the guys that raced there last time, and they said the fastest was a 37.2, so I'm about 1.1 seconds off.
Interesting. Approximately what were the other guys doing during that session or during that week, let's say, of driving on this layout?
I would say that honestly they were what do you mean by?
So were you alone in this session, first of all?
Oh yeah, so this one, so I was alone in this one. I would say that the track was like, it was kind of warm. There was an event that happened there like I would say 30 minutes ago, so it's still like kind of warm, but it was definitely not as warm. This regional event is 8 hours with nonstop like on the track, so it's definitely a lot hotter than it is right now.
Oh, on an indoor track for sure. Was that when like the last track record was set during one of these events?
Yes. Yeah, so that 37.2 is during that event. So it definitely will be a lot faster. They're saying that third times usually increase by half a second from their like personal best on the new track. So
yeah, this is really nice to see. First of all, they're combining 2 tracks. Does that mean one is like a kids track, or
they just do they usually just do on like weekends, busier days, the 2 tracks so they can have multiple people, but usually on the weekdays they combine them just when it's less busy, so that it's more fun, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like events. Then this is like a big warehouse of some point, and they've just had multiple layouts, which is very common on an outdoor karting facility, which is specifically for public karting. For example, you have different layouts, and then you're able to do different options with that in terms of race events, competitions, you name it. Right now, let's go to your track layout, because this is the most important thing. It's a very neatly drawn one, I must say. I don't see many errors in this. You haven't really erased over much. Perfect. Which corners shall we focus on?
So that first corner from the start finish. So going to that hairpin. It goes the opposite way. Yeah. So it goes to the hairpin. So that's the first corner, and then the third one, the hairpin after the long straight.
Okay.
So those 2 is where I can definitely feel that I'm losing time, or just like losing the rear a lot. And then and then that where your mouse is going down that. Going down that one into that kind of chicane almost. I'm just trying to figure out there if I can take it flat out or if I need to lift or brake. Half of the people say they can take it flat out. I feel like the cart bounces a lot, and it might be easier just to like lift a little to rotate the cart and then go full throttle, but still trying to figure that out.
Let's have a look at turn 1. This is obviously the best lap. What were you averaging in terms of lap times? Was it all 38?
Average was
3s?
It was a 38.9 was the average. I'd say I was a little, some of the average might be a little off. It's more so probably a 38.6, just because some laps I would use it as a joker lap.
Yeah, that's why. I remember this first hairpin because we did some extreme analysis on it, right? Many months back. What
Yep.
what did we discuss that time? Was it take it with brake or take it with no brake? What was that? what it
We were
was?
talking about take it with like a brake and like snap the steering wheel. And so yeah, just to get that rotation, which a lot of people have been saying they've been doing now who have been fast, is that they'll turn in full throttle and then halfway they'll tap the brake, which I thought was
Wow.
a very interesting approach.
Nice.
But I'm not sure how to do it. Right here, it was just a jab and turn
Yeah.
approach, and then just like feed the throttle a little and then full throttle once I hit the when I'm like 70% straight.
Yeah, because line-wise for turn one, I think you're pretty much spot on. It's pretty much a late apex, I'd say, clipping it really, really close to the barrier. The second left, were you pretty much flat out?
Oh yeah, I'm flat out.
Yep. Kart 18, is it known to be one of the quicker ones?
Yes, that Kart 18 is one of the best one there.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, into turn one, I like your approach as well. You're getting some rotation too. More importantly, I feel that you're gaining time on exit. It's not like you're overdoing it on the entry where your exit bogs down. Currently, the braking point, is it just at this sign, use brake?
Yeah,
or-
I use the sign.
Nice. Have you experimented maybe going a bit deeper, let's say where the orange barrier is?
I have a little bit. The problem is I feel like I lose the rear a bit. I do see a lot of people go further down who are faster than me. So, and I've talked to them and they say they just do a jab of the brake, like jab and turn, or like do the weird method of braking while in the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've tried it, but I just usually feel the rears just start bouncing, or even just lose it completely and just lose all res.
So what I wanted to know also, this race or event, is that race for position or is it going to be best lap time every time?
It's going to be for position.
Okay. When it's for position, you always want to take the line which is going to guarantee similar laps, consistent laps. So it doesn't have to be, as I was telling Eric or Naveed earlier, that one-shot qualifying approach where it's do or die, everything's on this. You can take a bit more risk, and that's where it's 50-50, where you can maybe slide a bit more if it goes wrong, or you can have the perfect finesse and exit if it goes right. So I think the approach you're taking here is nice because, again, it's not too aggressive on the brakes or late. Do you feel that you can do this lap by lap, this approach we're seeing?
That approach, yeah, I feel like you could do lap by lap. I just feel like there definitely is a quicker way to take the corner.
Yeah, that's going to be up for debate. I'll be honest, because if you got time to practice a new technique. I mean, how far are we from this event?
It's in 2 weeks, so it's not this
2
Saturday, but
weeks?
next Saturday.
Okay.
So I have still time to.
Because it'll honestly be
Okay.
worth dedicating a next practice session to that technique they were saying about full speed and turning and then braking, right? Because you never know. I always say, as a driver, you need to try as many different techniques, and especially if the faster guys are saying, okay, I'm doing this, it's worth trying in your practice sessions. At the end of the day, that's what your practice sessions are there for. As much as, we want to repeat a lot of things, we want to try new things as well. But this approach you're taking is pretty much guaranteed for consistent laps, bearing if you can just modulate the gas smoothly. So I think here what's happening is you're putting gas on, you're getting just about, I'd say, the maximum amount of oversteer that you need mid-corner, and then you're controlling it. The closer we can be to neutral, the better. It just smoothens things out. I know it can gain you lap time. We'll go ahead to, is this turn 3, you'd say? The left-hand airplane?
Yeah, turn 3, 4.
Yeah, turn 3, 4. I see a similar approach in braking. I guess it's more on feeling here, or is there a reference?
So that little, you can see on the barrier to the right, there's a little piece that sticks out. Like if you go like further,
This one?
a little further.
Okay.
There's like a little like right there. Yeah, that little piece
Wow.
right there. That's what I use as my braking method.
Yeah. I'm looking at this lap again, footwork, because this was pretty much on point. So watch this. You're on the brakes, as you mentioned. Keep watching that left foot as you turn in. And now you can see you're starting to release back onto gas. I mean, I keep saying gas, but it's an electric kart. So
Yeah.
it's back onto accelerator. You can see how you finessed it on this as well. Look how close that is without touching. I don't see any flex in the barrier, so you can basically fit your piece of paper through there. Mid apex, you can say this is, or you're targeting.
Yeah.
Yep, mid apex. It'll naturally look. It'll throw you out a little, which is fine, because this next corner has a decent runoff, and bearing you can do that sharp turning just like you do. Boom. You'll be able to take it flat out. Again, compared to quicker drivers, what do they do through this corner? Or what?
They basically brake later. So with me, I feel like right here I almost brake so much that like I feel like there's like I can use more grip of on the track, and so they like to brake later and then hit that late apex.
Yeah. Okay, so they turn later as well. Maybe they go into the
They
space
go
a bit.
like right there where where you can just see the tire marks. That's where kind of they.
And you think they're on the gas a bit early or a bit more, so that they're almost drifting a bit through this corner.
Yeah.
That was the other approach which I was thinking you could take, and simply the reason why is you can say it's technically a hairpin, but because you got the next corner so quickly, it's almost like a tight left-hander, you can say. So what their approach is going full send into it, being on the limit of the tire grip as you put more gas, controlling that bit of sliding which you'll probably get, but because you'll get thrown out slightly wide, which is similar to where you're going as well, you'll have the angle now because you've got lots of space on the corner entry to just flick the kart right. So I don't think the problem here is the exit, because the exit looks fine. You're back on gas. It's the entry which you can play around with, just finding that bit more aggressive approach, which is spending less time on the brakes and maybe using the turning of the kart and maybe a slightly later and sharper turn to scrub speed off the kart and gain time like that, right? So again, you're doing the line which will probably guarantee similar laps. To find the extra tenth or two is just about delaying the turn-in. Throwing the kart into the corner, it's a phrase that we use in racing, where you're really leaning, committed into the turn, and trying to get onto gas as much as possible without Tokyo drifting, let's say. So that's definitely an approach you can use in your practices for next time. We're going to come to the final part, which is our chicane. Is this the start of the chicane? Or we got a bit more to go? Cool. Got the left into the exit, which is the right. I remember this part of the track because we're back on. So are we crossing onto the old layout or the first layout now, basically?
Yep.
That makes sense because I remember this. Yep, through the left, now into the right, and then you've got the left right, which is coming up. Yep, just like that. Now, it looks like it's almost flat out that you're taking, or you're lifting somewhere. Where are you lifting?
I'm lifting. So I lift right here, and then I just like barely, just to get the car like rotated just a little bit, and then the same thing with the last like two corners right here. So right here, I lift like right where that concrete separation is. I just like lift a little there, just to get that car, and then I'm just full throttle the rest of the way.
Yeah, if I watch it in slow motion here, I see that, and you might have been doing this lap by lap. Do you feel that on the exit you're getting really close to the barrier where the cart's almost sliding away from you?
Yeah.
Just here, you can see. And I see how you adjust your grip as well. You let the the wheel almost do its thing. You can see the tires are pointing this way, but the kart, the nose is pointing that way. There's a slight bit of oversteer on the exit, albeit you save the kart in time to just be alongside the barrier, and ideally this is the approach you want to take for the next turn. I would say in terms of smoothing things up, watch your initial turn in. You start off wide, then you go in tight. I guess there's good grip. The kart responds well, but when you turn in, as you're doing, would you say this is early or mid apex for this corner?
That'd be early.
Yeah, just early to early. This is the earlier we go, you can see on exit, then you get thrown off wide, as I like to say, and it slips the car. Have you tried at all maybe a slightly later turn in for this corner?
I have. That's where it crosses, like, some people say they can go full throttle going later. Some people say that they have to, like, brake. I've tried it, and I feel like once I hit the brake, I'm just so much slower through that whole section than I usually feel. So it's just that, it's just trying to figure out what's the overall fastest approach for these few
I think you should continue with the latter part. The latter part of the chicane looks perfect. I would say it's just this first part. And as you mentioned, it's up for debate between different drivers. What if you continue trying to take it? You're lifting here, right?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe wider approach. Could start off with the lift, but I think that's slightly wider, or if not, later turn-in. Targeting the late apex could see you go almost flat out. Yeah, that's something you could try. Try the later turn-in. And the later apex doesn't necessarily mean late apex. It could just mean a mid apex. But ending up getting this front left part of the kart towards the barrier somewhere on this side, let's say towards the end of the curved black bit. So it just opens up this right-hand corner for you, which is where you continue to attack it just like you're doing over here. And as the two concrete bits transition, you stick with your rule of lifting, because I think this is working out really nicely for you. You're lifting, look, you turn, and then it's smooth through the left, getting really, really nice and close to the barrier, and also through to the right. So as I said, the exit is not the part that I would change over here or experiment. Maybe the entry, slightly later turn-in. Feel free to use a bit more of this approach. Now, the thing is, when you do take more meters or you approach wider, yes, you technically lose that on corner entry, but the advantage you gain on exit is significant in terms of speed and momentum, because that's what we're doing, going out and we're coming back in to build that momentum up. Try it out next time. I would definitely recommend that. And again, use the classic approach of, keep everything the same, but that corner in that session, lap after lap after lap, and then compare, right? Lap times. There'll be slight changes with, track conditions, maybe the kart you take, but note all those variables down for that experiment, and then, definitely come up with a game plan.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Naveed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had something for Jeremy. If it's a standing start, all you really need in a race is just to get a good start, and then if you can defend from there and make a couple overtakes, you're pretty much good.
I think that's an excellent point that you made there between the two, standing and grid starts. William, we're going to have to move on to the final driver before we wrap up for today, if that's
Sounds
okay.
good. Thank you so much.
We look forward to seeing you in a future session. Jeremy, before we do round off, you sure, is there anything that you wanted to go over?
Just one corner, really. That was it.
Let's do it. Is that Sandown on the footage that you posted?
Yeah.
All right. I believe this might be an alternative layout of Sandown, or is it the normal layout?
I'll turn it reverse.
Reverse.
Oh, no, that's the wrong
Okay.
one. If you go the newest one.
On your channel?
Yeah. It should be uploaded.
Yeah, alternate. Cool. Because I've heard and I've seen as well on Daytona, they've been doing their best to get as many different layouts on the hairpin track, which is Sandown, because there's really not much you can do with how simple the layout is, but they're doing a good job with what they got so far. What did you want to view in this? Was it a corner that you wanted me to go over, or the race in general?
We can do the race in general. Then, if like I can point out the corner, you can make small points.
Is this the race where you start? No, you started P8 over here, right?
This was the qualifying race. So the sprint race, and the feature is I haven't uploaded that yet.
Ah, so this is the sprint race where you're going to finish P5 and then get promoted to P3 because of that, right? Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, lap time wise, how much off were you of the top three? Let's say, what was the pace difference?
Maybe 3 or 4 tenths, but I'm also 10 kg heavier, so got to have that as an excuse, of course.
Well, definitely that could be a 3 or 4 tenths if that helps. No. Karts though, really, you keep kart 10 for the whole competition or the whole round?
Yeah, but in the heats they
Damn.
switch every time, but in like the Grand Prix format, which is this one, they just keep the same car.
Right. So in qualifying you took 10, in feature race you took 10, and in the sprint you took 10. Is that correct? I don't really like that approach. Simply because you don't have kart rotation. You see, there are going to be some good karts and some bad ones, and the best way to let everyone have a fair advantage is simply by, or a fair chance, sorry, is to change it every heat. So your luck will even out across the competition. As we can see on this opening couple of laps, I thought you did a good job to stick with the pack in front. And not only are you sticking with the pack, you could potentially make up some moves. Was this car very understeery on right-hand turns? What did you feel?
Yeah, it did, because it was always the one we just passed, the right-hander until the up. It was always difficult for me.
Yeah, I can immediately tell within the first couple of laps, you're putting a lot of steering lock in, and then you're having to you're probably losing as well. The more lock you put through that right, you'll feel that other people get better acceleration. This is a funny moment because you'll see 35 trying to dive bomb 4. He goes for a gap which really doesn't exist, and then number 4 is like, what are you doing? Come on, let's work together, let's go forward, which is true, because simply just by battling there, the leaders are pretty much checked out. And again, 35 tags number 4. This is a classic example of drivers ego battling, ego challenging. That's a phrase that you know. Everyone feels that, no, I'm the faster guy and I want to lead the pack. But I think the smart option is always early doors, stick together, and just try not to lose the top guys. It sounds basic, but everyone has to be on the same wavelength, same page. You'll see the battle continues, full lock to the right. I just feel your pain through there. You get a nice switchback, and it looks like these are the guys you're generally going to be battling with, for the remainder of the race. A lot of back and forth goes through. I'm just trying to figure out how all this separates, because you eventually finalize your battles, you can say. It looks like the leaders, coming out of the right over here, pause it just here. You can see the 2 helmets way in the distance. They've just checked out. So that's 3rd place technically in red. Number 4 is 4th. 5th is Kart 2, and then you're 6th, right, at this point?
Yeah.
Cool. Right now it's basically the battle for the podium. They sort of pull away, you can say, midway through the race. And what would you say this was because? They were just faster, better lines? Your kart was lacking?
Faster.
You see, this is a part of the race where range is so important. And I just had this in my final yesterday, where I had a much slower kart, similar to probably what you're feeling. The other kart who I was following was a lot faster. And I stuck with him for solid 4 laps. The moment he increased that range, where I was no longer half a kart length with him, he pulled it to 1.5 kart lengths. Then it very, very quickly transpired that he pulled ahead. Now, what you can rely on to close the range is obviously them battling. That's what seems to happen, and you're almost able to tag along like that. So the moment they battle, you'll see the gap closes. The moment they stick on the line and get clean air, couple of factors, they might be lighter, they might have better karts. Boom, the gap opens up. I definitely think this is a kart related problem. Look at the beginning of the straight. Gap is about 2 or 3 kart lengths, and then they just zoom away as we floor it down the back straight. You can see how the gap is just opening up over here, right? That's definitely more than 3 or 4 kart lengths. So number 2, is that P5 still?
No, P4 now. The
P4,
blue
right?
suit,
What happened to blue?
just a bit of a. It was Red Suit's fault. He did like a dive bomb, but he spun the blue suit guy out.
It's over here. Dive bomb. Oh, a bit of a dive bomb, huh? Lol, this is feel for that. Yeah, he's gone late on the brakes. Yeah, he's really just misjudged it. You can see mid-corner, he's lost the kart, and that's just like a bowling ball going into a pin. And he's taken him out. Was that a penalty then?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, yeah. So they actually apply penalties, as opposed to the race I just did, where it's just extreme banditry on the first lap, you can say. It's outrageous. So you battled the P5 technically, and this was nice. You're just keeping him honest. I don't think you got a chance to pass him though, right? This was the early exchanges. Did you pass him at all, P5?
No.
Okay. Again, I think you'll go back to the point of kart performance over here. You potentially losing a bit in the straights, but you gain it on the corners. And with the chance to potentially make a move as it was early on there, it just didn't open up the right opportunity, right? It's always 50-50s. Can I go? Can I not go? And that happens in races, right? So what you got to do is try to maximize everything out of your kart, stay as close to them as possible, and in the end, there's going to be factors which you can't control, like penalties, where you're either going to gain or lose. And in your case, look, you kept this gap, just kept probing away, and I'm sure you did you expect him to have a penalty?
I didn't. Yeah, once I saw on the actual camera, it was it was pretty bad from him.
Yeah, you can probably tell. But in the moment of the race, you're like, no, I need to just keep pushing.
Yeah,
and that's the main thing you did. Is it a time penalty he got, a position penalty? How do they award those?
I think he got like a 3-place penalty or 2-place.
Oh, place penalty. When it's the places, then yeah, there's not much to argue with that. If it's a time penalty, you can gain it back through just pushing and opening up a gap. But it is what it is. Honestly, what I can tell is this is not only the start of something, it's evolving in terms of your racecraft. You're going to have to constantly do these races just to get the experience of being in the deep end and the different types of people you're up against, because this is the level of competition now. You've gone through the stages of just doing a public karting session, then slowly going mid to top pack of those public karting sessions, winning them, and now on a grid of all good drivers, right? So this is where you really got to lock in. You've got to learn from the different scenarios that you have, whether it's battling on lap 1, battling towards the end, going for the overtake, defending your position. And the only way you're going to do that is through this experience. So use it positively. Don't get disheartened too much about races where you start high up, you lose positions. It can be for different factors. Maybe you're in your head too much. Maybe it was a kart related thing. But as long as you can note down what you did well, because there's certainly going to be things that you did well in this race, and those things that you can improve on for next time, you always got to leave that window opportunity available. Because how many rounds is this championship?
7.
7 rounds. 7 rounds, long way to go. And I wish you all the success. Look, we're coming to 1.5 hours already. We're well over time. I'm really going to have to get going now. It's been a pleasure, everybody. Thank you all for joining Track Help today. Until this time next month, we will see you all then. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, see you.